All right, Rick. Obviously, you're playing New Mexico twice, and Santi, the big player that's unavailable. If you could just give us an update on him and Babu.
Excuse me. Santi, we're not sure. He was running today, so he's way ahead of schedule. I don't know if he'll be available for Saturday, but possibly Wednesday. Babu he was in training today. We just held him out of the physical contact just because sometimes there's stability issues, and we don't want to have any setbacks with him. So there's really no need to rush it right now because we do have 3 next week. So the advantage we have is if they don't play on Saturday, maybe they could play Wednesday, or they'd be available for the following Saturday.
Now facing New Mexico twice in a week, what was your reaction when the envelope was open and you saw you were playing them?
I mean, it's convenient probably for all of us. A little bit less travel, and the fact that they'll already be here, I think, is good for financially for those guys. But look, I don't really care about Wednesday. We only care about the one game on Saturday, and we'll just take it one game at a time. And that's the most important thing right now, is getting the guys focused, making sure that we continue to improve and continue to get results.
With Seijas playing so well, how do you see the midfield shaking out once Moose is back?
We've got some ideas, and we know what we want to see in the future for the team, and it'll be great. It'll be good competition. Just because Moose is coming back, I think Kev and Joey Farrell have been fantastic. He's going to have to come back in and earn it.
Not that I'm saying Joe needs to come out or anything, but have you thought about it all when James does come back, about maybe a James and Kev center back pairing?
I'm not sure. We still have another player that's going to compete in that area as well. So we have a lot of options. You could go James and Manu, and then you could play Aiden and Kev as double pivots. You could play James and Kev, and then you could go Aiden and Luis. I mean, this is good for us because there are some teams that are going to play with 110 and one forward, and if they do that, do we necessarily have to play with double pivots because we outnumber them 3-2? So the idea is to have a team that's capable of making the adjustments in the game and changing the style of play. And when we go into a game knowing we're playing a team with 2 forwards that has some pace, then having the ability to put Kev on the back line, gives us that little extra burst of speed, which is fantastic. But when you're just playing a team with a big target 9 and double pivots, then maybe you want to put Kev in the midfield. So for me, it's fantastic because it allows me some tactical adjustments to match up man-to-man or how the opposition plays, and without changing too much what we do as a team.
What have you seen from Ryan compared to what you'd have expected out of Babu?
I think Ryan's defensive. He's had an extra year on Babu at the position, and Ryan up until I think the second half of LA has been fantastic. But I think 3 games in a week for him was very difficult, and he probably got fatigued, but he wasn't closing down fast enough, leaving too much room for Cameron Dunbar, and we've talked about it. But I think he's done really well. The big thing for Ryan is continue to stay humble and keep working hard, and when you get these opportunities, you don't let go of the position. That's what I expect out of all of our players.
How do you expect to be tested by New Mexico this weekend?
I can't give everything away, but they've been playing kind of a 3-4-2-1 or a 3-4-1-2. So the biggest thing for them is Neko Brett is extremely fast as a 9. He gets in behind. Then you've got Rivas and Wehan, who are both very, very good players, and they'll find pockets and turn, and they can kill you with the pass or they can kill you on the dribble. And then Bruce and Swartz out wide are industrious, and they run up and down nonstop, so they can drop into a back 5 or they can play as wide players in their attack. So for them, I think everything stems from them having possession and trying to dominate the middle of the field. Portillo and Sam are both very, very good players. I like them both a lot. They're hard workers as double pivots, and they'll make it very difficult. And then their back 3. I think their back 3, they've had a few injuries, and there's a little bit of kind of they've got all right footers on the back line, which makes it interesting. But I think that a team like New Mexico is willing to play direct when they need to, and they've got pace up front. So this is the kind of team that gives you all kinds of problems, and if you don't deal with it, you can find yourself down a few goals. And much like San Diego, they attack with a lot of numbers, and there's a lot of rotation. So very, very good team. Every team in this league has improved a ton, and gone are the days where I think Phoenix Rising just runs away with it, and we're starting to see that we have to really, really dig deep, and we've got to show our steel and what we're made of now, and I think the guys they're excited about the challenge.
How do you think they've changed as a team since Troy left?
Not a whole lot. I think it's mostly personnel. I think the style is what Troy had them doing, kind of in a 4-4-2 that rotated a lot more. I think they're a little bit more straightforward in how they approach the game. But they build with their back three and a two holding players, and then their wide guys will come down deep to help in the build up, and so they kind of overload you with numbers in their build up and in their attack as well. So if you're not willing to run against this team and you're not willing to get out in transition, it can be a very difficult game.
You mentioned that cup of coffee you had with Luis.
Yeah.
Are you able to share anything you guys talked about? Because his form since has been outstanding.
Yeah, no, the best managers, in my opinion, are the ones that can build relationships with their players, and they can build trust and faith, and it's taken a long time for Luis and I. He came in last year. Juan Guerra was a close friend of his, and they're both from Venezuela, and I watched Luis as an unbelievable pro last year and how he behaved. He wasn't playing very much, and then this year coming in, for me it was, are you going to have the same role, or is there going to be something different? And I think he was a little frustrated at first, as was I, to try and figure out how to give him more opportunities. And we had to talk about that a little bit, but mostly, I talked to him about his family and how they're settling in, and they're such wonderful people, and what can I do to help him think about his future beyond football. And I know he's taking his coaching badges, and so it was really because I respect him and I care about him, and I wanted him to know that no matter what goes on Saturdays on the field, it doesn't mean that I don't care about him. And all of the players, I feel that way. They have to understand that I'd be the first one to be out there on the field supporting them if I could, and I do care about them as people, and I think that's extremely important.
What have you made of Greg's performances out wide versus up the middle?
He's played left wing most of his career. I think up until last year he wasn't even a striker, so very comfortable. He's got good feet, technically very clean. I think that Greg brings a lot to us in possession because he doesn't lose the ball. His versatility is very good for us, especially now with us playing maybe inside out or playing a little bit more on the break, having a guy that's going to make a good pass when he receives it. So, he's a good player. He's very smart. He's still, I think, adjusting to the speed and the physicality of the USL Championship, but he's done a good job, and I'm impressed with what he's done so far.
Do you think you've played to Claudio's strengths so far?
Well, we've never been a very direct team, and I think that we're not getting enough service from wide areas. But I told the guys that statistically, I think in the last 3 games we had more crosses than we did in all the previous games, and that's what we really need to do, because if we're going to have overloads in wide areas, you've got to get the ball in the middle to score goals. So Claudio does a lot of work defensively. I think that sometimes he just has to learn the game a little bit more and understand where he's going and why, and he's slowly starting to improve in that area, which is fantastic. But look, the good news is that these are all players that are going to improve. That means that the team is going to improve, and you don't win trophies in April. So as long as we keep ourselves close to where we need to be, then we want to be ready at the end of the year.
We know you said that every team's a rival, but obviously games like Saturdays do mean more to the fans, especially after losing to San Diego here earlier this season. So how are you managing that?
Now that's for you guys and the fans. For us, it's just another game. Look, in a week we have Miami, and I think in a week or 2 after that we have Tampa. So how can I say that one is more important than the other? These are all big games, and every time we get to play in front of our fans, we want to do our best. It doesn't matter who we're playing.